Hello, Erin here. I'm very excited to be sharing the brand new Stampin' Up! Annual catalog for 2025 to April 2026. This just went live today, if you're watching this video when it comes out on May 6th. And lots of fun, inspiring ideas in here. I've got tons of artwork samples to share with you, including some scrapbook layouts. So stay tuned for those. But yeah, I'm very excited. So we were able to order a lot of these as a demonstrator, a lot of these products, over a month ago, but we had to wait just like the rest of you for this catalog to go live to get everything on my wish list. So let's go ahead and dive in. First, here it says, find your reasons to craft, and it gives you a spot to write your own. I need more lines. I think I'll fill that up and then some. But yeah, I'm excited about many things in this book. So let's start with the kits collection. First of all, the heirlooms arrangement. So this was brought in as a kit a few months ago, maybe. I don't know. I've already gone through a couple and I wish I had the cards to share with you because they're gorgeous. I'm so happy to see them in the annual catalog. It's called Heirloom Arrangements and kind of thank you type sentiments. This is the Beautiful Blues kit, which is more of like a sympathy and support. Love these kits. You can whip up some very beautiful cards in no time at all. Here's some more pop-up pals, interactive little dinosaur and a unicorn, a little monkey, very cute cards. And then more of like a celebration. So you have birthday cards and some matching bags. So what a nice way to step up your handmade gift, right? Put it in some handmade packaging. So now we're getting into our scrapbook workshops. Yeah, I know we're all very excited to see the scrapbook workshops. This first one here is called Memories in Bloom. And I did share an unboxing recently here on my channel showing all the things I got in pre-order. So this was not available. I did have to wait until today to order this, but I did get this and I think it's beautiful. I love the titles, Our Family. There's a Mother's Day title and Love These Days. So I felt like they're very usable for many occasions. So you'll see there is a regular paper pack and sticker sheet. They come in different, ways. The paper pack and sticker sheet, and then the scrapbooking workshop comes with some extra punch outs and titles, the coordinating cardstock, and instructions to make all of these beautiful layouts. Next, we get into another scrapbook collection called Turtley Sweet. And I did get this paper when it was available, but I have not ordered the scrapbooking workshop yet, but I'm excited to create with the paper. It's got some really cool patterns on the backside that really drew me. Now, this one is my absolute favorite, and I know many of you are not surprised if you've been following my channel for a while, because I've got boys and we spend a lot of time in the outdoors. So not only did I buy the scrapbook workshop collection here with all of the bits and pieces, but I also bought an extra paper pack and sticker sheet because I've got big plans for the weekend adventures collection. But I love the plaid, the wood grains, the blues and greens, just beautiful. Absolutely my style. When I first saw this, I'm like, I don't even need to go any further. I'm just going to take this in. And that was enough to have me completely excited about this book. So I did order this morning and I can't wait to share that with you. Now this coordinates, it's called Celebrate Together, and it is very similar to the Cheers and Sips collection. And I do have some projects to share featuring that collection. So this is the scrapbooking workshop version. So I did order this. I was impatient, so I went ahead and got the regular designer series paper as well, and I already started creating with that, so I'll be sharing that here in a moment. But again, you get everything you need to create 3 double page layouts, all the instructions, the stickers, the punch outs. There's a cut apart sheet, coordinating cardstock, and again, very usable titles. So we have Good Times, Let's Celebrate, and then Summer Fun. So they could be used for a multitude of things. And I love that. Those are perfect little title options there. So here we get into some, quick and easy options. So what that includes is some mix and match ephemera. I love that they have these card and tag templates, and stay tuned. There's some scrapbooking ones as well. If you guys have your catalog, get it out and follow along with me. But I did get the ephemera packs here. These are great for cards or just adding little bits and embellishments to your scrapbook layouts. There's the Greetings for All Mix and Match ephemera. So I did pick up a packet of that as well. There's all sorts of, first you have the black background with the white text, and then you have the opposite. So we've got the white background with the black text. But I did use this one here, which you'll see in a card sample very soon. But lots of different thinking of you, thankful for you, oh, happy day, happy Father's Day, all just happy Christmas, get well soon, congratulations. So I like the variety and just very usable sentiments. So those are nice to have for quick cards. So these are some examples of how you can use those card bases with the mix and match ephemera here on this page. You've got these blue and red card bases, so you can see those here. And a great way to be inspired and just kind of get going, right? Sometimes we get a new product and we just, oh, where do we start? So I love to turn to the catalog and just start creating one of the projects you see in the catalog. And then often that kind of gets you going. Now, this is, I just mentioned, the card sketches on the other page here, right here. Now we have scrapbook sketches, and I am very excited to announce that several of my crafty friends and I are going to continue collaborating on YouTube the third Friday of every month. We were working our way through a sketchbook, which we finished, and we decided to create these. So it's going to be really exciting because as you can see, each one of these, there's 8 of them, is a single page layout, unless you wanted to kind of mix and match them. But, we just had one sketch as a starting point, and they may make a card, they may make a double page scrapbook layout and stretch the sketch. You will see all sorts of creative ways to use this as a jumping off point. So again, that's going to be the third Friday of every month, and we'll be starting with this sketch. So I cannot wait for that series to start. So here's just another look at the some of the mix and match ephemera packs, and these were in the previous catalog. So these are returning faves as they have here, and these fully flowering ephemera pack here is really gorgeous. Love that one. Let me grab these cards real quick. Now, these are the Memories and More pocket cards, and I didn't get a chance to create with these, but I do plan on using them for cards. So they have 3x4 and 4x6. You can see them slid into pocket pages, divided pocket pages, but I love to use them in this manner where you just layer them up to make beautiful, very quick cards. So you've got so many fun colors here. They can be any occasion, but you do have some that have like a celebration kind of birthday. Now this one says thanks. I'm definitely going to turn that into a thank you card, and it has all several different languages there. And then congratulations. So it doesn't have to be just birthday. Lots of different, celebrations. This one's birthday, anniversary, well done. So, you could really play up whatever you wanted it to be. But they're double-sided. So that's so cute, little circles there. But yeah, these are really fun. Here's another one that looks like little candles on the cake. So you could mat that on, pick any one of these colors to border this, put a little, happy birthday on there and add some bling, and it's good to go. Mount it to a card base and you have a quick card. On the next page, we have some little classic Stampin' spots. So I love to use these for inking up the edges of my paper layers, but here they've shown you how to do some fun techniques. So you can just stamp them down to the paper to create this background pattern. And here they've just like swiped them across to create these thick bands. And I thought, what a great way to get more from your ink cubes there. This is also a nice way, if you don't have the colors, you can start with the little small assortments. So they're pretty handy to have for traveling. This I do have. It's called Layered Thoughts, and I love the big, bold sentiments. So you can see how big they are on a regular card size there. And I love kind of the, rustic style of the font too. I think that's really nice. So here, these are very pretty and they coordinate with the circle punch. So you have different sentiments. Way to go. Thank you. You're on my mind and in my heart. A little something. Happy birthday, with love, and sorry. So lots of very usable sentiments there. And it's so nice to just stamp and punch it out, right? With the circle punch there. So you can see how they've used them on some of the cards there. So here's some returning favorites. Happy birthday, choose happy, simply said, which is a nice collection of sentiments. And then this one is like, happy birthday, thank you, best wishes, and thinking of you. So really great sentiments. Okay. We're getting into some big, bold color here. This is the Florals and Bloom collection, and I did order this whole suite, so I cannot wait to share these beautiful papers with you, and the stamp sets and the dies. So what really drew me are these big words that can be used on a card or for scrapbook layouts. So there's lovely, you can mix and match, have a lovely, and then day, have, you know, a lovely, let's see, bloom where you planted, or just lovely day, all sorts of different combinations there. But they are pretty good size. You can see how they've used them on this card, which is fabulous. And there. So those cards are 4¼ inches long. So you can see those are just shy of that. So very good, nice size for titles, as I said, on a layout. So this is you can do just the stamp and dies, or you could do a whole suite collection. You do save money when you get them as a bundle or in a suite. So if you love it all, that's a great way to save a little bit on those bundled sets. So just some more artwork ideas, and they're showing you how the dies coordinate with the papers. So you can use the pattern papers themselves and the coordinating dies to cut those out, or the stamp sets. Love this on the black cardstock. I think this is absolutely gorgeous. Or that may be Secret C. It might not be black, but it's a dark background with bold pops of color. And that is a die. And then they've just done the bloom where you've planted. So that die set is from, you can see that here in the Pretty Florals. It's a layering die. So you get that detail layer of the floral and you layer it over that, and then the leaves have the veining in there. Very pretty little floral set. Now this is the Turtley Cute set. So in the beginning we saw the scrapbook workshop, right? So here it is with the designer series paper. There's a stamp set, there's dies, a turtle embossing folder, and some fun bling. I do have that bling, and it's really cool. They're like little hexagon shapes in different colors there that coordinate with this collection. So those are fun. And as I mentioned, I got the paper. Here, I thought I would just bring this in. So this side, there's all these turtle characters doing different fun turtle activities, from barbecuing at the beach to gardening to playing musical instruments. But what I love is the backside. So I mentioned in my unboxing, I am envisioning this for some beach photos with the woven textures mixed with this one, maybe even some like tropical type of layouts. And then these three fabulous pattern papers. We've got polka dots and music notes and this stripe. These are so Disneyland. They are going to be perfect for a lot of my Disney pictures. So that's my plan for this pattern paper, but just love these. And the embossing folder is the same design. It's like a geometric design. So I think it's like turtle shells, but it could really be so much more. And I just think it's a very fun pattern. And I love green, so definitely a cool paper. You're probably thinking, we want to see artwork, and we're almost to a collection where I created a lot of samples, so hang tight. Here's more of just the, ways they've used the Turtley Sweet collection. Cute little party favors, and if you love turtles, this is pretty cute. So there was a cut apart sheet in there, and they just kind of layered some turtles over the background of those, which would be very fun for different occasions. Now here we have the beautiful gallery. So this is a collection where I was able to buy this during the pre-order, and I got the entire suite. Absolutely love it. Beautiful example of different things you can do with this collection. And then we have the beautiful motifs die and stamp set, and the gallery blooms die and stamp set. There's a damask embossing folder. We've got bling, ribbon, and the gorgeous paper. I definitely have lots of beautiful things to show with this collection. So here is the ribbon, which is like a beige color, which coordinates with this collection beautifully. And then you have the little pressed flower motif They're like an antique bronzed bling with a, they call them pressed flower because it looks like there's a pressed flower right into the metal accent there. So I've been using these quite a bit. And then it's a 6x6 paper pack that's double-sided. And there's just beautiful florals and scenery and just patterns like this. Very, I don't know, want to say vintage. I was going to say elegant, but vintage was the word I was looking for. But yeah, I really, really love this paper collection. So let's take a look at some artwork. This is a really pretty paper too with the boats on there. So many beautiful designs. Okay, so then there's also here, like I said, the beautiful motif stamp and die, and then the gallery blooms. So let me show you how I have been using these. So these dies are very fun because you can use them in a couple different ways. So the beautiful motifs dies, oops, I actually still have those, haven't put them together yet, but you can see we have these dies, but they don't cut all the way out of the paper. So the way they work is they cut into a background and then part of them is still attached. So you can get this lovely effect. And I have paired that with the damask embossing folder on the bottom. There's that pretty ribbon that comes with this collection. And the gallery blooms has some frames. So you can see those here. They are a set of frames and they're connected. So it cuts out 2 frames, nesting frames at one time. And then that is with the gallery blooms. And then of course you get dies to cut all of these images out, as well as some standalone sprigs. So I've kind of mixed and matched dies from this set with the dies from the beautiful motifs set. So some of them do cut all the way out, like this sprig here will cut out completely, but the flourishes do not, they're partial. And then this is partial. And then this one also cuts out all the way. So again, I don't know if you can appreciate that. What I've done is I have used this smaller frame to layer over this, and then I pulled the parts of the flourish and overlapped them on the frame. I've tucked the sentiment underneath the bottom of this, so that is showing that dimension. Now I got this inspiration for this from the catalog. So if you look at, let's see, I think it is this way. Like I said in the beginning, sometimes I just jump in and start creating artwork from the catalog. Oh, it's right in front of me. And then I take off and do my own thing. So this was my jumping off point right here. You can see they have those beautiful flourishes and then the frames, but they've made a smaller, you know, they have both the frames there. So I used the inner frame and did this same design. You can see I've tucked the leaves under there, but I went ahead and used pattern paper to cut out my frame. And then this is more of the beautiful pattern paper in the background. And then again, I embossed the crumb cake here on the bottom. And of course, we don't want to forget about the inside. So I've taken that beautiful floral stamp and stamped that in crumb cake on the bottom corners. That is this one right here. It makes a really nice corner accent there. So yeah, I just wanted to show you how we can draw inspiration from the catalog and then just switch it up. Now I did add a little inking to the highlight more of the raised areas. So I took a blending brush with crumb cake and just you can see the darker areas there. And again, I think that just further highlights the beautiful details in this particular die set. Here's another one here, very similar design. Now for this one, I die cut the frame from crumb cake, and then I took crumb cake ink and my texture stamp, Elements of Text, which is unfortunately no longer available, but I know a lot of you have it because it was very popular. So I stamped on the frame and then did the same exact technique and then just layered it over pattern paper from Beautiful Gallery. So this one was really, really simple. And then on the inside, since my card base was a little bit darker, I added some Very Vanilla and stamped opposing corners with that beautiful flower stamp. Isn't that just perfect for making a little corner piece there? I love that detail. Now, there is nothing prettier than red flowers. So I colored this in with the Real Red Stampin' Blends, and that is stamped from this stamp set here, Gallery Blooms. And I added a black frame using the inner frame and popped that up so it actually has some dimension. I should have used the black foam tape, but I just grabbed the light color or white and didn't think about it until afterwards. So you can see I have tucked some leaves in here. That's this die. And then this really pretty little lacy flower, it kind of reminds me of Queen Anne's lace. That one is right here. So I cut those from, this is Mossy Meadow and Seafoam. And the background is actually embossed with the distressed tile. I meant to grab the Damask embossing folder, but it would give a very similar look. And that is Crumb Cake that I have built the background piece with there. And this is a top folding note card. The inside of this one is just plain, but I quite like how that frame makes this pretty little spotlight. The sentiment is one left over from a paper pumpkin kit from my stash. I need to make room for these. So here's another card, and I meant to write down who I saw this from. I'll have to put it in the notes. I'm so sorry. But I was inspired by a card I saw on Pinterest. So these are very similar. And again, I've used the elements of text stamp in the background in Crumb Cake, layered it on the woven textures. This is the texture set of, you can see that beautiful detailing around there. It was part of the, let me actually just grab it here. Textured Notes dies. That's the word I'm looking for, but it's a set of nesting rectangles and they all have a little bit different pattern on there and they really dress up your card panels quite nicely. So a lot of stamping and then just some coloring on the background here. This one I added the leaves but left them off on this one for a different look, and they're both quite lovely. Now here we are using the other die from the Beautiful Motif dies, and this is another one that doesn't cut out all the way. So I used Cloud Cover, which is a new in color cardstock, and I did a very similar technique that I have done with this particular flourish. So I die cut that into the card panel and then centered my frame so that these could kind of lift up. So I just kind of nestle it in there and then I can lift these up so you can see how it only partially cuts. It would be quite fun too to pop some of these up with foam tape. And in fact, I think they suggest that as a, yeah, you can see them doing that here, highlighting it with some foam tape. And then there's those pressed flower motifs. And hang tight, I'll tell you where all of these sentiments came from when we get to that in the catalog, because it's really cool. You can cut out a bunch of sentiments at once. This is the Secret Sea color, which I absolutely love, another ink color. So the pattern paper here was one with the florals. Let me find that one. I actually got two of these paper packs because I knew I would be creating a ton with this. It's just so pretty. Of course, now I can't find the floral. Here, let me look for that really quick. Okay, here it is. So this was the piece of paper. I drew my color inspiration for my cardstock. So again, Secret Sea and Cloud Cover for this one. And then I used both frames. There's the larger frame, and I got both pieces from one swipe through the die cutting machine. And then I wanted to separate them a little bit more, so that is popped up so you can kind of really appreciate the different layers. And then I put some more cloud cover in between them and then inked them all up with Secret Sea to further highlight those beautiful layers. But yeah, this was fun to create, and I just love how you can use this piece here partially cut out of the panel there. I think that's really neat. Now this one was also inspired by the catalog, but I dressed it up just a little bit. So let me show that to you right here. That is this card. It's not focusing, right up at the top. And I love that scene in the background with the cabin in the meadow. So I did something very similar, but I went ahead and cut out the flourish. So if you're very careful, you can snip these free and then use them as a corner flourish like this. So I have mounted that onto Mossy Meadow cardstock, and this card is just, it's not a true A2 card size. It's a little bit shorter because I wanted to have an even border around the frame, but I would still put it in a regular A2 envelope and send it out that way. We've got some of our bling, another one of those sentiments that is from this same collection. And then on the inside, again, I use that same little corner cluster of flowers there. But this was very easy to do, and I thought it was beautiful. So yeah, that's really just the only thing I added is I added that corner bracket and then changed up how I added my sentiment there. So, and then I wanted to show you this one. This is also using the Gallery Blooms Stampin' Dies, but we went a whole different direction. So you don't have to stay within the colors suggested in the Gallery Blooms, although they're absolutely beautiful. If you want to make a vibrant, fun color palette like this one with gorgeous contrasting colors, blue and orange, you absolutely can do that. So these are stamped. So we've got this beautiful stamp here. I've layered this taller one in the background using Timid Tiger, another new in color. And then I used the die to die cut. And then this is a Stampin' die cut. And then there are some little leaf dies in here. So you can see that there. And then there's the lacy one. So, and then here, this little guy here, I cut from Blueberry Bushel cardstock and tucked that right in there. So it's a whole different look. Again, the sentiments from my stash. It's a card kit, and I just had a bunch of leftover sentiments because I decided to add different sentiments when I made that card kit. I added some blue little gems around the flower cluster there, and then just tucked it into a little pattern paper that matched from my stash. But yeah, I thought it was fun. You can go a whole different direction with your color scheme using these stamps and dies. Let me scoot all of these beautiful cards out of the way and I will show you a scrapbook layout. I'd love to know which one is your favorite. It's really so hard to pick a favorite, but I think that this one, these two are my favorite. I just really love that little, flourish in the center with the frames. But yeah, this one, I think that one's my favorite, but it's so hard to choose a favorite, right? So let me set these aside and I will show you the layout. Now, I did create this earlier on my YouTube channel, so you may have caught this layout, but it is featuring the same beautiful gallery collection and the stamps and frames. So you can see I have used those little flourishes and I cut them out. So I cut them, snipped them loose from the background and then used them as corner brackets. Here we have a smaller frame from the dies for my journaling. This particular frame is just an accent for my embellishments here. It's kind of like an anchoring element for the embellishments. And these were cut from the actual pattern paper. And then we just have strips of pattern paper. So this design is actually from the creative design team's sketchbook featuring how to use 6x6 papers on a 12x12 layout. So that is where this design came from. I did tweak it a little bit, but I absolutely love how this turned out. The background cardstock here is the new in color Secret Sea. And then I do want to show you that this is the backside of one of the beautiful gallery papers there. And then here's another flourish from that set. So you can see that here. And I snipped that one free from the background and then just used it as a decorative element on the page here. But they work great for scrapbooking embellishments as well. Such a pretty color palette in this paper collection. I absolutely love it. So this next one, if I'm saying it correctly, is called Kintsugi Inspirations. The stamp is Inspiring Imperfections. And I was just reading this book and they talked about the art of wabi-sabi, which is basically the art of imperfections. In Japanese cultures, for example, in the book, they were saying they would drink out of chipped teacups because life is imperfect. So they were embracing that. And I thought, oh, this kind of reminds me of that. These are 12x12 papers and they have gorgeous gold foiling, but I love the pottery and I think this is going to be really pretty. No idea what I'm going to do with it yet, but I'm excited to get it. And in fact, they even have a little information, little blurb here. It says, what is kintsugi? It is a traditional Japanese technique of repairing broken pottery with gold lacquer. So the mended gold veins become a celebration of imperfection instead of hiding it. So here they've got some embossing with gold powder there. And I look at the embossed with the embossing folder, the gold foil, and then they cut out the little veining and made that background. It just looks really neat. So this one is really fun. Actually, it's a cute little collection. It's 6x6 paper and it is called Boho Vibes. So it has kind of a retro vibe to it. But again, I like the colors. I'm drawn to these, I guess you would call them darker, more muted colors. And there's this cute rainbow die, coordinating dots, sunshine vibes. So I thought these were good little sentiments, sending good vibes, thanks, and hello. And then this sun, you could do like a little half sun, or you could keep stamping it all the way around. And I've seen different things done with this. I wish I had some artwork to share with you, but I wasn't able to get that one until just this morning. So here we have, they're just kind of giving you a reference of 3 ways to scrapbook. So there's traditional like 12 by 12 or, whatever size where you're maybe using a kit or just supplies and putting a layout together, or quick and easy scrapbooking where you might be using like pocket cards, things like that. So kit or pocket scrapbooking or scrapbooking from scratch. And they kind of point you in the right direction depending on what your interest might be. Me, I like to do it all, right? So here we have the Memories in Bloom collection, and it is different from that, floral paper pack we saw in the beginning. They are actually different, similar colors, but different papers and whatnot. So that is a pretty collection and nice and bright for springtime florals or even summertime florals. And I know a lot of my friends did order this one, so we'll be seeing some fabulous artwork ideas. This stamp set I definitely added to my cart. It's called Turtley Sweet, and it says good times, it's your day, and smiles and sunshine. So I thought that would be great for just little word sentiments and title options. And again, here we have that Turtley Sweet collection with the sticker sheet. So I mentioned in the beginning, you could get it as a scrapbook collection, a workshop, or just the paper pack, or with all of like the whole sweet bundle. And then here's the paper pack and sticker sheet and coordinating cardstock. So lots of different ways to do that. So here's the Celebrate Together collection. And I do have some things to share with you. So this is just a really fun paper pack and I absolutely love it. So the paper is called Celebratory Sips. Let me grab that. So here's a look at the paper collection, and I have definitely cut into this one. So I had the option of buying the paper collection early, and I did, but there's a scrapbook workshop that I actually really like. So I'm contemplating getting a second pack because I do have a lot of plans for this. So this is, the 2 sides of this pattern paper here, and this is so cute. It's like just fun summertime citrus. This paper pack does not have to be about drinks, but it certainly is perfect for that. So I've already used the other side of this, so I just have the one paper left. And then same with this one because I dedicated one whole sheet to cutting out the drinks. Now there is a stamp set that coordinates, so you can stamp if you don't want to cut up your pattern paper, but those are the 2 sides of that one. And then we have these 2 patterns, which you can see here. They have used that as a background for this. I think it's so cute. It really packs a punch for that background. So that is the opposite side of that one. And then see here, if you wanted to do something totally different, this would be beautiful for spring or Mother's Day or just summertime outdoors. And then again, I've cut into this, but we have the florals and the stripe on the opposite side. So let's take a look at some artwork featuring this fun collection. So here is a scrapbook layout. I still need to get my 3x4 flip flaps. That's going to sit in a flip flap and then, reveal some more. It's going to flip open this way. So depending if you want to flip it up, you might need to orient the inside photo accordingly, but that'll flip that way. And then I have the journaling and another 4x4 that will flip up here and add the story. So when I put this into the page protector, I can add this to the outside of the page protector. Flip flops are definitely a craft room staple. and they're in the annual catalog here. So I did share this on YouTube here very recently, and this was the first scrapbook layout. I've got more I'm not going to share today. You got to wait till the video comes out, but I wanted to share this one because it features these gorgeous products. So you can see I did cut out those drinks to use as embellishments. And then this is a floral. This is part of an online release, so I'll show you that here in a little bit. But I also made some really fun little cards that from this collection. So let me set that aside. Now this one, I did write it down. This card was inspired by, I cased it from, if I'm saying it correctly, Koru Creative, and I saw it on Pinterest. And I did something very similar. I used a different sentiment and I added some ribbon, but she had embossed the background and used the same colors. So there is an embossing folder that comes with this collection, and that is what that one looks like there. There's nothing easier than an embossing folder to dress up your cardstock like that and add a little texture and visual interest, or textural interest to the background there. So that is Timid Tiger cardstock embossed, and then we have that floral paper, the opposite side of the floral paper, and then this beautiful ribbon. That's this one here. And this is called Gold Stripe. So it's got this gold veining through it, and then it's kind of sheer. And I think it adds a really pretty little sparkle. And then the little bling dots are the holographic resin dots that I've used on all of these cards. They kind of have a greenish, well, they pick up whatever color is around them because they're holographic, but that is what you see on the card here. So there's a larger and then a couple of the smaller. So that's one card. And then here's another one. So this includes images that I fussy cut from the paper and some stamp sets. So the lime and the umbrella I die cut or stamped and die cut out. And you can see those here. There's tons of, so this could be either a lemon or a lime. We've got ice you can put in your glass, the two different glasses, a bunch of different sprigs, and then the coordinating dies. And then this one's neat too because you can add some texture. This just die cuts texture into it, which would fill up this tall glass here. So you could even make them lemonade. Like this one, I was thinking of a lavender lemonade. And so I added like a little sprig of what reminded me of lavender. There's those little berries there. And again, the glasses are cut from the pattern paper there. So let's go back to this one. I've used the same embossing folder in the background, again on Timid Tiger, which is a new in color. And then I've stamped, and how I painted these is I used a little of the Old Olive Reinker and a water brush because I wanted them to have the same watercolor look that these drinks have. So that's how I colored those elements, and I think they look like they match perfectly. So I was really happy with how that turned out. I popped up the sentiment, which is from my stash. Let me show you the embossing folder. So they're kind of mini embossing folders, which is fun. And there's two in here. This is the one that's giving us this fun texture. And then you have a floral pattern. So you can make a really nice border across the bottom of your card and create different looks with that. So that was part of the suite, the embossing folders with the stamp and the dies and the pattern paper. So back to this one here, I wanted to create a simple fun fold card. So this is that same woven textures die set with the nesting rectangles that I shared earlier. And then I've stamped the mint and the little lavender sprig and the berries, a little strip of pattern paper just to anchor the cluster. And then this is an upcoming stamp and die set that I've been using on all the cards. So I will show you that in a bit. But Timid Tiger for my card base. And then I added the floral paper and then, added the same panel on the inside and then just stamped a lemon and the strawberry. I've colored that in with the strawberry slush, and that is the Darling Duckling Yellow. And again, both new in colors for this year. So I quite like how that turned out. Aren't these fun? They're just so summertime, fresh and fun. And yeah, has me ready for just warm weather, right? Love how these turned out. So as I mentioned, I definitely have more scrapbook layouts planned with this collection. So those will be coming up on my YouTube channel very soon. It's nice too because if you look at the bottom of the catalog, they tell you the colors that are featured in that collection. And you could also get the cardstock pack that coordinates. So there's 2 of each color, and this is the 2-tone cardstock pack. So that's a great way to start collecting the cardstock if you don't want to buy it in the full collection. So I definitely ordered the stamp set, Celebrate Together. Again, excellent usable titles that you can use over and over again. A Day to Remember definitely can go on just about any scrapbook layout, and then Family and Friends. And then I'm always adding word sentiments, or as I'm calling them, wordy bits. But you have Best Friends, Vacation Vibes, This Happened, What a Day, Holiday Fun, and Memories. So, and then you even have a little label tab that, you know how I like to put those popping out the top of my photo. So my friends, if you're looking for some excellent wordy bits, this stamp is perfect for that. Again, one you would use over and over again. I think that would be a great investment for your collection. Definitely get your money's worth out of that. Okay, here's another look at my Weekend Adventures set that I'm so excited about. So earlier in the catalog, we saw the scrapbook workshop. Now here's just a look at the paper pack and sticker sheet and the stamp set. So absolutely had to have that one. Again, we've got coordinating cardstock, 2 of each color. And let's take a look at this stamp set. So it says things to do and places to see, taking the scenic route. Adventure starts here. Definitely a great title. Love this place. Enjoy, relax, better together. And then there's a coffee cup. Yay. You can even put the flowers in the coffee cup. And really great stickers. And they have made the most of that real estate on that sticker sheet. It is chock full of very usable titles and just embellishments for layering. There's some journaling spots, some tags. Yeah, good stuff. So you can see that how they've used that stamp here. Adventure starts here for the title. So that's a nice size title there. On the next page, we have our flip flaps that I was just telling you about to add additional photos or journaling to your pages. So we've got 3x3, 3x4, 4x4, and 4x6. So great variety of sizes. And then we have albums. So there's D-ring and postbound. I ordered these and I'm going to be doing a review and, sharing these because I know we've all been waiting for these albums. So hang tight for those. And you do have the memory protectors, and they are offering memory protectors for strap side load if you have those types of albums. So these you would want to use the post bound for both of these. But like I said, if you happen to have a strap bound style album, there's a memory protector option for you. So very excited about that. Also very excited about this page. It's all of the colors in 2-tone cardstock. So you can buy them in packs of 12 sheets of paper for $10. So it's like getting 2 colors in one because you have a lighter and a darker, and it does have the white core. So you can do all those fun tearing techniques or scoring or sanding techniques we like to do. And you can see that tearing here. And again, they're 2-sided. So all the colors makes me so happy. I know a lot of us were like, yes, add to cart. I didn't get everything. I can't, like I said, go crazy all at once, but I cannot wait to complete my collection of the 2-tone cardstock. And as I mentioned, in some of these, you can get the 2 sheets of each that coordinate with the collections. That's a great way to start your cardstock collection as well. So here's a little hint at something a lot of us are very excited about. And here's that Kintsugi paper used on a layout visiting Japan. And they've stamped or maybe embossed. Looks like they've embossed on those letters, but those are coming soon. Hold that thought. Now this is the Notes and Totes bundle, which is super cute. And I do have some artwork to share with you. You guys, this is so cute. So cute. They were showcasing this at convention and all of us were oohing and awing. and just loving it. So it's a clear stamp and you can see all of the stamp images. We've got some nice sentiments: sending warm wishes, just a note, relax and enjoy, newsflash, you're fabulous, exclusive, made just for you, so grateful, a true story. There's a great little texture, which could be sand or snow, hibiscus flower, a sun, water drops, and then this cool background here with some florals. So again, it's a clear stamp. And then you have this amazing set of dies, which probably doesn't look like much on the magnet sheet, but these are so cool. So let me show you what they can do. To get started, I scrap lifted this card here from the catalog. Now, they used a pocket card that had relax and enjoy on the top. I used the beautiful bokeh paper. And you can see that this die here creates this picket fence effect. So you have the long one for the horizontal slats, and then you could even make this as big as you wanted if you want to go across the bottom of a scrapbook page. So you have your picket fence, you have this dimensional tote bag with different handle options. So that is where I've used this one here. And then this makes the tote bag. You have a seashell and a sea star, a bottle of sunscreen, and the sun is stamped on it from that little stamp set here, or you could do little splashes there. And we have a die that cuts out, well, there's the sunscreen. Here's like a little pump of moisturizer, and then a water bottle. So this cuts out the little water bottle here. We have the heart-shaped glasses. So here I put some silver foil paper, like they're reflective silver lens glasses there. And then you can see the bottom is crumb cake cardstock. And I took that sand stamp there and just used crumb cake to stamp and add that little sand-like effect. This, is that not the cutest? That's a purse scarf, in case you didn't know. So I didn't realize that's what it was called, but I thought that's pretty cute. So that's what this is here. And then I took the background stamp and stamped the detail on the card here. So just so fun. You could even tuck something because it's like a pocket. So a lot of fun. You could put, like, I'll show you some different ideas of what you can put in there. So there is one example. And again, I got that inspiration from this card here. Now here I wanted to kind of go with a more muted color palette. So we have black and tan, which is classic, and then we've accented with pink. This in the background is the Country Woods wood grain paper. And then I've used pecan pie for our tote bag with black accents. Again, white cardstock for my purse scarf, and then I stamped the florals. And then we've gone with pretty in pink for the shells and the starfish. And we have our little sunscreen bottle. I put a strip of the crumb cake, again with the sand texture stamped on the background there. And for the glasses this time, I went with vellum. So you can see a little translucency to those. And I just think it's so cute. So I just cut a piece of paper and then stamped the newsflash, you're fabulous, like you were taking a magazine to the beach. And then the water bottle, I just used a marker and made it striped. So that's not pattern paper. I just added the stripy texture. I think my stomach is trying to tell me it's lunchtime. If you can hear those tummy grumbling noises, it's trying to say feed me. So here's another one, and I have used the Wave embossing folder with pool party cardstock there, and I've gone with petal pink for my accents, and then the woven textures for the bag there. And again, we have some Country Woods wood grained paper on the bottom. I've seen quite a few demonstrators using this paper and the background here with the wave. I think, great minds think alike. So this was really cute. And then I found a sentiment from my stash for hello. And again, I just cut a rectangle of cardstock there. This one didn't have, a simple hello. So you probably have a hello, or if you want to make it a thank you card, you can really make it anything you want. But I just think this is so darn cute. Now, I will tell you, these things are addictive because look at this. You can make them like three-dimensional. as like a little favor, and you can put all sorts of cute things in here. So if you look at the catalog, they have, an example where they have attached it to a water bottle. They put a drink mix in there, and then maybe looks like a gift card. So you could put your drink mix into the water. They added a pretty ribbon there, and I think that is such a cute idea. I was having fun with just all the different colors. In fact, my son's girlfriend Desiree was here, and I was letting her create different things, and she was getting really creative, and she put some of these together. So I love all the different color combinations. And these are that beautiful bokeh paper, which is double-sided. So the inside is one color, and then you have the outside. So really, really fun. I just realized, I did use the other. So here's the other handle option. So you can see the two different handle options you have on this die set. But a little Ghirardelli chocolate, you could put a couple of those in there, and they fit. You could probably put 3 in there. So those are super cute as a little, token of appreciation to gift to someone. Gift cards, so it's going to stick out the top, but put a little gift card in there. I've even seen them shown with like chapstick, and then you could put little like wipes in there, like scented hand wipes or things like that. Just cute little things that you could, bundle up in this adorable little tote bag. So I haven't had a chance to create a scrapbook layout with these yet, but I do have some beach photos, and I can't wait to embellish with this, kind of something like this on my scrapbook layout. So that'll be coming up here in the future. My husband, we're going on vacation, so we're trying to like be really, really good. And we're in like what we call a cut, where we're, trying to look our best for vacation. And he, I was unloading the groceries. He's like, "What are you doing? Is this going to help you with your goals?" And I'm like, "Babe, I have to show them how they fit in these little tote bags." So, I had to do it. So, real sacrifice there to purchase these chocolates just so I could show you guys how cute they look in these little bags. So anyway, these are just so cute. And like I said, they get addicting. So you just want to keep creating with these cute little tote bags and trying all the different color combinations. Alrighty, we still have quite a bit of goodness to explore. So this is neat. This is a coneflower, and it looks like it's large enough to have an impact as a scrapbook embellishment, but you can fold it and make it, you can see how it like connects at the top. So it becomes the card itself and opens up. You could have a little surprise in there, a little sentiment, but I think that that's neat. And I love coneflowers. I do have them growing in my yard. I've got purple, I've got white, and some like bright orange ones. They're such a pretty flower. This is called Silly Safari. So you have your little safari animals, and they definitely have a youthful, very playful, whimsical look to them. Those are cute. Now this one, a lot of us are very excited about because it's something new. So I don't have anything to share with you just yet because I wasn't able to get this until today. But you have washi tape. So there's a roll of washi tape, and then like part of it's are blues or purples, and then you have the pinks. So you get like a whole section of purples and then a whole colorway of the pinks, and they line up with the die, but you still have a stamp set. So you stamp it all at once, and then you die cut it all at once, and the washi tape. So you have a couple different options there. But I've seen this before in the industry, and it's new to Stampin' Up, and I can't wait to try it. I hesitate because I say new to Stampin' Up. I've only been with Stampin' Up for a year, so they may have had something like this in the past, but from what I gather, I think it's a new concept. So this will be fun to create with. Love being able to cut out all those bits and pieces at once. So you do put the washi tape on a piece of cardstock. So you would put that on white cardstock, and then you would die cut it out. You don't necessarily just want to cut the washi tape. So yeah, here they have it on some blue cardstock, maybe, from what I can tell. So on the next page is the Party Dies bundle. And this everyone is very excited about. So these are good size banners. So you could really make some really neat home decor pieces or cards or scrapbook embellishments. These are awesome. And the alphas are quite big. They are 2 and 15/16 by 1 and 11/16. So they're really good size. So when we go back to that layout visiting Japan, let's see here. So you can see how just those 5 letters take up over, that's probably at least 6, or I mean 7, 8 inches across the page. So really makes a big impact. And I think that that will be a great uh, addition for scrapbooking titles. And they're big enough to do some neat, you can emboss them or you can stamp on them, and there's enough real estate to actually showcase that detail. So they have a lot of fun ways to use these. Here they've done monogrammed boxes for party favors, so you could put like potpourri in there or cookies of the holidays. And I think that that's a really neat way to use those alphabet dies along with the banners here. I've done a lot of home decor banners like this for the different holidays or for my son's graduation, and they're fun. They're really fun to have. So here we have a beautiful sentiment stamp. I love the fonts here, and it's the right words. So you do have happy birthday and you're so kind, sending good vibes. I know a good thing when I see it, and I see lots of good things in you, thinking of you, to someone worth celebrating in every single way. And then you have more like sympathy, hoping the loss you feel right now will be erased by wonderful memories. That's a very nice sentiment. Forever loved, forever remembered. Miss you already. I really don't like that you're leaving, but I hope you love where you're going. A great sentiment for someone who's maybe moving out of the town or moving to a new job or something along those lines. So I like that. It's an eclectic mix of sentiments, but definitely a good variety. So here you have some very cute, whimsical, youthful playground type stamps. If you have littles, this is just me and you, and then playground of life. Very cute. Actually, this kid on the little springy, whatever you want to call that, springy critter. I have pictures of my 18-year-old son bobbing around on one of those, and I was like, oh, please don't break it. So you're never too old to play on playgrounds, right? I do love this stamp set, and I did get this for my collection because you can create such big, bold backgrounds. So it looks like you can use it all at once, which I've done here, or you can separate them out and just use a portion of it. Most wonderful time of the year. And you have this neat wreath that comes apart. So you could do just part of it on the top and bottom, or you could just use the wreath. So I like that they have designed it that way. I think you can get a lot of really neat looks from the one stamp set here. So imagine, here's the wreath. Imagine if they took the wreath out and just had the top and bottom greenery. So that's kind of neat. I love it when you can change them like that and get different looks. This one's called Feathered Fun, and I've seen lots of fun artwork coming out with those birds along these lines, where it's like a continuous line art to draw the silhouette of a cake, tiger. We have a couple killer whales or orcas, bike, rose, hummingbird, heart, and a cute little puppy dog there. Then we have a beautiful fishing themed stamp set, Peaceful Pier, and they've got some gorgeous artwork there. I love how they've used the fish to create that pattern on the background there. You can do that on a scrapbook layout, making your own pattern paper like that. I think that's really fun when you see techniques like just using one or two of the images from the stamp set, and you can do a whole background. Now this one here, I do have Peaceful View, and I created one card inspired by this one right here. Let me grab that. This is a red rubber cling stamp, and it's just one big background stamp, perfect for a card size. And I have used the beautiful gallery frames. This is the larger frame. I cut that from gold foil paper inspired by this here. So the tree silhouette, you just have the tree and the fence and the cute little bird and the grass. I have stamped that just like they did on the beautiful gallery paper. So that is one of those background scenery papers that's just so gorgeous. So how easy was that? I stamped right over it and we're like one and done. So I added a little strip of that gold ribbon, and then I cut the card a little bit short, And then I have my sentiment hanging over here. And then I used a strip of pattern paper from Beautiful Gallery and then some vanilla. My card base is early espresso. So I thought this was really nice, like always here for you, thinking of you. This could be a great masculine card, masculine birthday, but it's absolutely stunning with that tree over that background paper. And yeah, I had to recreate it right away. And the wind is blowing my door closed, making some squeaking noises. So here's another example here of how they've just used ink and then die cut it out with like a postage type die frame. And if you use a sponge dauber, so they've used that to apply ink. So you can apply the green ink on the leaves and then just the brown to the areas of the trunk and the tree to get multiple different colors like that. Since it is technically one solid image, you can still get those looks. But here I just did, that is early espresso ink on the tree there over the background. So yeah, just right when I saw that, I'm like, yep, I have to recreate that. It's absolutely gorgeous. So here we have more returning favorites of the stamps and tools. So again, these are returning, so I won't spend a lot of time on these, but you've got some great die sets in here. Really happy to see Delightful Wishes. This is a beautiful set. I've created a lot of like cherry blossom looks with that. A great sentiment stamp set. I'm very happy to see this one still in here, the Father's Day Trusty Tools stamp and die set. This is awesome if you have DIY type projects, and I've used this on a couple layouts. The terrific toadstools with the coordinating punch. That is also a very cute collection to have. I love those whimsical little mushrooms. And then we get into our tools. So paper trimmer, scissors, rulers, everything you could need. There's a collection of blocks. And then this is really neat. I do quite like this tool here. So this is called Take Your Pick. And what it is you have a little, very thin little spatula on one end, which is great for like prying under things or, just scooping up sequins, just random things. And then you have a refillable putty tip here, and you don't need much. The putty is sticky, so this like picks up the dots off the bling, and you can put it on your projects very easily. And then it's refillable, so you would just take that out and put a new head on. And then they also have, I just actually got these. I threw them in this little random tray with randomness in here. Get rid of those. But this is for cleaning out your dies. So you could put that on there and just clean out your, the bits that stick in your metal dies. There's a scoring wheel. Then you have a pick and two different types of picks. Just little pointed ends that are handy. And then like an X-Acto knife. So I love how you just have one tool that you can use the different heads on. So it is awesome. I kind of held out for a while thinking I don't need that, and then I caved and I love it. So bone folder, heat embossing, just all sorts of great tools back here in the back of the catalog. And then we have some punches, and I do love circle punches, things that you would use over and over and over again. This is a great little label die. It would also be a fun ticket. You can get different ticket looks with that. Janice made me do it. I just ordered this one with the little ticket ends, but I do love the punches there. And then there's some different dies. So the perennial postage dies are a set of nesting kind of postage stamp edge dies. And then we have stylish shapes in nesting circles and squares. Some great brackets, alphabet a la mode. I use this alpha all the time, as well as the mini alpha die. So those have already been around. I know a lot of us have been collecting those, adding them to our stash. And then the nested essential dies. So those are fantastic too. I use the banners most often on that one. You have some beautiful embossing folders. So anything that's new is marked with a pink N. So there's that from the Kintsugi, and then the turtles, and then the damask folder. And there's the waves that I showed you on that note card with the notes and totes bundle. So lots of good, stamp cleaners and blocks, everything you could need. You do have dimensionals in black and white, the different glue dots, and foam adhesive sheets, strips. I am hearing some great feedback about this catalog too, that you guys love it. You love it so much more than you did last year. You can find things and it's clear and easy to see what's what. So I'm glad that you guys are happy. I'm happy too. Here we have some specialty paper, some metallic, wood textured, acetate sheets, watercolor paper, and then gold and silver. So that's where I got the gold paper for this one. Really dresses that up beautifully, doesn't it? That sparkle. So that's always nice to have in your stash. So here you can see the paper collections all at once. So we have some returning paper collections, the Season of Elegance, very pretty. The Regals is returning. Here's some irresistible cardstock that has like a clear coating pattern, so you can ink blend over it and then reveal that pattern and customize the color. Here's the Kintsugi, Florals in Bloom, but it is nice to have all your papers in one place. I'm excited about this one, Nest of Winter. I'm excited that that is still here. Very pretty. This is also returning, Perennial Lavender. My favorite, Country Woods. Happy to see that there. There's your beautiful gallery and thoughtful journey. So lots of paper. You can easily see this at a glance. Very, very nice. Then we have some envelopes and card bases there. And then all of the fabulous bling. And then these are rub-ons. So they're really easy to overlook in the catalog, but they are gold and silver rub-ons. You have some great texture and some just leaves and sprigs and different things. So don't forget to check those out, because like I said, they're very easy to miss. And I know that because I did miss them. And someone's like, oh, did you see the rub-ons? And I'm like, what? I had to go back and find them. Here's some one of those little banner dies there, and they have happy birthday. So twine and ribbon in the back here. Some more, blending tools. Love the blending brushes. Then you have the blend markers. And then we get into some of the stamp pads here. So these are just like your white, the stays on ink. You can stamp on slick surfaces like acetate or vellum and it doesn't smear. And then the Memento Black is what you would want to use for coloring with, because the alcohol markers could reactivate the ink of a water-based ink. So you'd want to use that Memento Black. So just some fun little details. Be sure to just, take a moment to read these, because you do see and pick up some great ideas from these. So we're not done. There is also an online exclusive release, and I have some artwork from those projects as well. So I want to show you those. So hang tight. We're at the end of the catalog, but still a few more things to see. I like how that they have recreated the same card in all the different color palettes. I think that that's a really fun thing to try and create those monochromatic looks. So here we have the color coach. This is really fun to have in your tools for different color inspirations. And then we have last year's in colors, and then the 2025 through 2027 in colors, and then your cardstock basics. So you'll find your cardstocks here, as well as your Stampin' pads, your ink refills, your markers, etc., all in the available colors. Here's the subtles, regals, brights, and neutrals. And these are not two-tones, so these are solid dyed all the way through cardstock. And they're a little bit different weight. They're heavier than the two-toned cardstock. So I do have both in my craft room, and they definitely both have their place. Okay, let me show you some of the online exclusives. Incidentally, there's a great index in the back. So if you're looking for something, you can find it by category and then flip right to it. Here is one of the online exclusives. It's called Impressions of Bloom, and it is a floral die. And there's also these neat ovals that cut out. You can cut out the back piece, and then you can cut out a frame. So this is what that frame looks like there. And it does have the little dotted detail. And then you have a stamp set. So it's a clear stamp. And then you have the option to die cut those. And I do like these because they're layering stamps. But you also have dies, layering dies. See, this one cuts in the lines, the petals, and all that gorgeous detail. And then this cuts the outline. So you have some stems, lots of leaves, some little flowers, flower centers. I have used on the same Cheers and Sips layout, I've used the Strawberry Slush, and then this is Berry Burst, and I've done the stamping. So I've used this solid and then the outline, and then I die cut those out to create my embellishments. And then the leaves are from this set too. There are these 2 leaves. You do have a couple other style and sizes of leaves, but I did use these and cut those from Old Olive. I also want to show you this card. Now this is a paper pumpkin kit that had these card bases, but what I like to do is cut my card bases in half, because often the front and back will be the same pattern. So if you cut them in half, you can use them as a card panel. This and get double, and then you may have to bring in some embellishments, but I had these flowers left over from this layout and they match perfectly. So this die here that looks like a little bit of maybe lattice or something along those lines is called the Linked Together, and that is in the Last Chance only. It's a very cool die because it gives you a landing spot and a grounding spot for your embellishments and sentiment, but it doesn't, cover up too much. You get to see the pattern through the, lattice-like pattern there. So that's another way I've used the same florals from Impressions of Bloom and the Paper Pumpkin kit. So Paper Pumpkin is a monthly card subscription that is an all-inclusive kit. Everything you need to create the cards is included in the kit. But like I said, I like to stretch them. Sometimes I use them on a scrapbook layout, and then other times I make the cards and I will come up with some alternative cards like this. But that is Impressions of Bloom. And then on this layout, I have used the Scenic Adventure stamp and die set. So I was particularly excited about this row of pine trees, which you can see across the top of this layout that I have recently shared here on my YouTube channel. So I was documenting a train ride in Alaska, tons of pine trees in Alaska, right? So I've used these trees here for my bottom clusters, and then I created a continuous border to go across the top. We also have mountains, some water detail, some foliage, and they do coordinate beautifully with the stamp set. So I've got a couple cards I created with these dies, and this has got me thinking too for some fun potential, let me grab one more, potential scrapbook layouts. So you can see the mountain dies here, and I have used different shades of gray cardstock. And this is the cloud cover in the background, the new ink color. It's like a blue-gray. So I've used that for my background and then layered the mountains using the mountain die there. And then created another tree border from Mossy Meadow, but I darkened up the back layer with Mossy Meadow ink. Or if you have the two-tone cardstock, you can, use the two-tone and have the lighter and the darker side for a similar effect. And then here I have done the same layering technique, but I've added that frame from Gallery Blooms. And this card is just like this one here, where I've trimmed it flush with the frame. And then I've added a little bit of the Country Woods wood grain on the edge there. So I just love how this one turned out. I inked up the edges and I kind of folded the frame. It puts a score line. So if you fold it and just hit it with a little ink, it really draws a lot of attention to that frame-like look. So I added some sequins from my stash. And again, hang tight, I'm going to show you where all of these sentiments come from. But isn't that fun? And I love the Country Woods wood grain paper with the Scenic Adventure dies. But I have this idea. I don't know, hopefully I'll be able to make it happen. But you know how we like to end cap our layouts with like a 4-inch strip? So I'm thinking of making something like this all the way down on either side, and then having some camping or maybe photos of my son mountain biking in the middle of the layout. So I've got an idea. I think it's going to be cool, and I can't wait to see if I can make that happen. But there are some neat little sentiments on here too. So you have adventure, journey, and you can like mix and match them. So if you had like a circle, you could put journey in the middle in one color, and then and then begin on like above and below it. So let the journey begin, or let the adventure begin. just breathe and take it slow. That'd be a nice little embellishment on a nature page. So yeah, like this one a lot. So all of these online exclusives just launched at the same time the catalog did. So I know a lot of us were kind of like, what's in the catalog and then what's online exclusive? But here's another online exclusive called Sunrise Sailing. And it is a nautical themed sailing stamp. Here it is a clear stamp. And then you get these great dies. So there's an embossing folder, a hybrid embossing folder. So I love these little wave like details on the bottom. There's clouds, there's a trio of die cut birds, and then 3 different sailboats. So this one cuts out the stamp, and then you have a medium boat where you can layer the sails, and then there's a small one. So really cool that you have all those different sizes. And let me show you what I've made with those. Couple different cards here. So this one I've stamped the sailboat. I did just put a little gray ink on the outside. I've colored that in with pecan pie. And then Pretty Peacock. So this is Pool Party ink blending. I've stamped the wave with, or the water lines here with Pretty Peacock. I've used that same, woven texture nesting rectangles, and then the woven texture paper. I think that has a nice nautical look. I punched a circle and then just created a mask so I could do some ink blending there. And we have a beautiful little sailboat card. And the card base is Pool Party. And then I just have a little white paper on the inside. Now this one, I've used the dies. Now you might recognize the paper in the frames. This is the beautiful gallery paper that had that ocean scene. So you can see I've popped up the inner frame and layered. I've got a cloud layered on the base and then this cloud layered on the top. So you get that dimension there. My sailboat's popped up on the frame. And then there's that wave. So I've used the Secret Sea and I've layered a couple layers of the wave. I think you can see that there. But I just loved it with this beautiful paper here. I added some dark blue gems from my stash. Again, the sentiments from my stash. And then on the inside, I have layered more of those Secret Sea waves and then a strip of shimmer trim from my stash. That's a close to my heart shimmer trim there, but if you could have any glitter paper, you could add that. But I thought that was a really fun little detail to add to the inside of the card. So yeah, I quite like this. We go to the ocean a lot, so I do love to have ocean themed stamps and embellishments in my collection. I didn't get a chance to create with the embossing folder yet, but that does create a beautiful scene there. So you can see what that looks like. It has the water, the clouds, birds, and the sailboat there all embossed into your design. Very pretty. Now this is a total Chelsea made me do it, the sweet jar with the coordinating punch, and unfortunately I just ran out of time and I did not get to create with this yet, but I am very inspired by artwork that Chelsea has shared. You can check out Chelsea's Instagram page and see her cards and scrapbook layout she used this set on, and it's super, super cute. I will actually try to leave her listed in the description box below, but it's Chelsea, and she's one of our creative design team members, and she was a presenter at Onstage for conventions. So she created lots of projects with this one. So this, I'll have some artwork coming soon, but I didn't get it done in time for this catalog walkthrough. Now, all of these cards have something in common, and it is the sentiment. So we've got lots of different sentiments here, right? So we've got different shapes. We've got banner, we've got ovals. We've got this one here that's slanted, tiny ones, bigger ones, and they are from the More Messages stamp set. So this is a red rubber stamp and it's all one piece. So what I did is I put this into my stamp positioner, and here's a little tip for you. When you're working with the red rubber stamps, I recommend you take out this piece. You don't need this. And then you can just put this right in here, pick it up with the Misti door, and then you would put your paper in here, put the magnet down, and then ink it up and smush it down. You do it a couple times, and once you have your desired effect, you can then scoot these out of the way, die cut them all at once. So this makes it so simple. So you have a coordinating die that lines up with these very easily. And I would hold it down with a little, post low tack tape and then run it through your die cutting machine. So what I did is I had a lot of cards that would benefit from Very Vanilla. So I used Very Vanilla cardstock and stamped it with early espresso ink for cards like this one here, and this one. That one has vanilla too. And then for these, I used white willow and black ink. And it's so handy. I actually made a ton of them. Where are they here? So I keep this little sentiment drawer, or little drawer for leftover sentiments. And look at all of these awesome sentiments I have. So if you do them in neutral colors, you can just kind of grab them and add them to your card. So let's take a look at what we had here. So we've got hi there. Way to go. You can do anything. You're the absolute best. Happy birthday. I adore you. Good luck. Forever friends. Always here for you. So that's what I have there. Miss you. Hello. You're simply incredible. Thanks a lot. Congratulations. Oh, happy day. Hooray. Lots of love. Time to celebrate. And a note. So really great usable sentiments, but I thought, well, this is very cool. I've actually always wanted a set like this where you can just die cut a bunch at once and then just have them ready to go. It's such a time saver. I will be sharing still shots of all of the artwork over on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest over time. I'm not going to post everything all at once, but I will trickle these out if you want to catch the still shots. And like I said earlier, I'd love to hear which one is your favorite. What collection are you most excited about? Love the Scenic Adventures, this one, and of course this one is so fun and summery. So almost forgot, we got a couple of the sailboat cards here. If you do not already have a demonstrator and you would like a catalog, please reach out to me. You can click on my website below and then leave your contact information so I can mail you a catalog. I would love to be your demonstrator. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you very soon here on YouTube.